Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to PhD Biology. Today we're going to be talking about biochemistry and the important chemistry concepts that overlap with the general AP and IB biology curriculums. With this in mind, we're going to discuss three of the four important biological molecules: lipids, carbohydrates, and proteins. Keep in mind that there is a fourth group, the nucleic acids. That is a large concept that will require a video of its own. So with that in mind, let's get started. So we're going to start by talking about lipids. Lipids are the long-term energy storage molecules for cells and are essentially the building blocks within cells. There are four types of lipids. We have fats, oils, steroids, and phospholipids. What we're looking at here are fats, made up of one glycerol and three fatty acids. Fatty acids are just these long carbon-hydrogen chains. And when three of them combine with a glycerol, we get a triglyceride molecule. Now with fats, we apply the terms saturated and unsaturated. This fat that we're looking at is saturated. It's saturated because on each of the fatty acid chains, there are no double bonds. All the carbons have the maximum number of hydrogens they can attached to them. So it's called saturated. However, let's say there were a double bond right here. Then the carbons would have to lose a hydrogen to account for that extra bond, and hence it wouldn't have the maximum number of hydrogens it could have, and it would be an unsaturated fat. We get saturated fats when we consume animals, and saturated fats are typically the unhealthy ones. They lead to disease, heart disease. Unsaturated fats are the healthier fats. They come from plants. Now, fats get a bad reputation just based on the name, but fats are actually a great energy storage, and fats store twice that of an equal mass of a carbohydrate. So that should show you how important fats are for energy storage. Steroids are another type of lipid. They're composed of these four carbon rings. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, and again 1, 2, 3, 4. Steroids have a variety of different functions, so for the sake of an AP course, we're just going to focus on these two, cholesterol and testosterone. You may want to know the structure of these, as they do occasionally come up on AP exams, but it's not a huge concern. What's mostly concerning is the function. Cholesterol functions to regulate transport through the cell membrane. They control membrane fluidity, the rate and easiness something flows in and out of a cell through the cell membrane. Testosterone is a sex hormone that's the predominant sex hormone in males. The last lipid to know is a phospholipid. A phospholipid is a glycerol, right here, with two fatty acid chains, here and here, and instead of a third fatty acid, we have a phosphate group. So these phospholipids join together to form a phospholipid bilayer that appears like this. These bilayers have hydrophobic or water-fearing tails located in the center of the bilayer to avoid the water in the outside environment of a cell and the inside environment of a cell. The phosphate heads coming from that phosphate group that we saw are hydrophilic or water-loving. So they are on the ends of the bilayer because they're attracted to the water outside and inside the cell. Now let's move on to carbohydrates, sugar molecules that cells use in energy-producing reactions. Carbohydrates are always made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. What we're looking at up here is the glucose monosaccharide, the most important monosaccharide. That word I just used, monosaccharide, simply means a simple sugar, only a single ring. The other two monosaccharides are fructose and galactose, and their structure is very similar. Now, monosaccharides bond together to form disaccharides, sugars consisting of two monosaccharide molecules. The three monosaccharides you have to know are sucrose, lactose, and maltose. As you can see, sucrose is made of a glucose and fructose monosaccharide, lactose from a galactose and a glucose, and maltose from a glucose and a glucose. Now, three or more monosaccharides form polysaccharides. And polysaccharides, when I said three or more, they can have hundreds or even thousands of monosaccharides in a long chain. Starch and glycogen are the classic examples of energy storage. Cellulose is a polysaccharide that's the material in cell walls for plant cells. And chitin is a polysaccharide which gives these arthropods, like this insect over here, their thick exoskeleton. Lastly, we're going to talk about proteins, made up of amino acid chains. Proteins are used for structure, transport, enzymes, and even cell signaling. Let's talk about the structure of a basic amino acid first. Amino acids have a central carbon atom, right here, surrounded by an amino group, a carboxyl group, a hydrogen atom, and an R group, sometimes called the side chain. There are several different R groups. These do not need to be memorized, but each serves a different purpose for an overall protein. Remember, there are 4 levels of structure within proteins. So here's a nice summary of the 4 levels of structure. We have the primary structure, which is simply the order of amino acids in the chain. The secondary structure is the arrangement due to hydrogen bonds, causing the protein to form these shapes called alpha helixes or beta pleated sheets. The tertiary structure is the 3-dimensional arrangement of the chain, which is caused by the interactions between the R groups. So remember, hydrogen bonds for the secondary and R group interactions for the tertiary. And finally, the quaternary structure is the arrangement of these separate polypeptide chains, so structures 1 through 3, combining together to form a single polypeptide chain or protein. Remember, for AP and IB tests, this question comes up a lot. All levels of protein structure contribute to the final shape or conformation of a protein, and therefore the function overall. Every single level is imperative for the protein. Well, that wraps up our biochemistry lesson. If this video is helpful, leave a like. You can comment with any additional questions you may have, and don't forget to subscribe to see more biology videos. Thanks for watching.